What's up, guys? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to WRX Garage. The mods continue to get myself prepared for the track, and one of the big mods or purchases I've made is this G-Force helmet. Wine & Country Motorsports down in Colorado. Awesome guys. Really gave me really good explanation of what I'm looking for, how to get the good fitment, what possible products I should be buying in the future. If you guys are following our Instagram, you saw we posted a question about what mods are coming next. Thank you guys for submitting your what you think's coming next. Seats and harnesses will be coming soon. This helmet is the start of a really awesome adventure into motorsports. But let's talk about what I'm actually doing today. Today I'm installing another piece that is part of the puzzle of getting this car ready for the track. We've done power, we've done suspension, we've done handling, we have the big sticky tires, we have a couple small reliability things. There is a very big difference between driving a car aggressively on the street and consistently driving the car at its limit on a track. And this mod behind me, and you guys already know what it is from the title, but putting a new aftermarket radiator in your car is definitely a preventative maintenance thing. I track coolant temp on my access port. I have never seen it go above 215, even with the front mount intercooler, but on the track, those temps can absolutely get much higher, especially in higher temps. So this is a mod that I'm doing kind of as a preventative maintenance. I'm looking forward to the track, and I know that this car is going to need cooling. I'm going to do my absolute best to keep this car as healthy as possible when ripping it on the track. So let's dive into what we're doing today. One unique thing about this installation is that there is no set of instructions that I found for doing this. It is a very much one-to-one replacement, so it should be overall pretty straightforward, but I'm going to be going through this entire installation process with you guys. Some of the tools that we're going to be needing, obviously we have the new radiator. We have 2 gallons of 50-50 mix coolant from Subaru, and then I'm also going to be adding some Redline water wetter, which helps with the performance, the cooling performance of the water that's in this coolant. So when we're talking about coolant, there's a 50-50 blend. It's 50% water, 50% antifreeze. A lot of people will say just run full distilled water. I don't want this car to have its block cracked from freezing temperatures one random night, because we do have crazy temperature fluctuations. So we're just doing the coolant, we're just doing the, and then we're adding the water wetter, and we should be good, combined with this amazing Hyper-V Core Koyorad radiator. The other tool I have here is from OEM Tools. You guys can get this off Amazon or from your local parts store. I will be putting the link for all of this in the description. Yeah, so this is going to be what we use to bleed and get all the bubbles out of our new coolant system once we refill it. And then, the last bit I have I figured let's add some amazing GrimmSpeed goodness while we're doing this installation. These are the upper and lower radiator pipes that we're going to, or hoses, radiator hoses that we're going to be replacing with the brand new GrimmSpeed stuff. I've noticed that mine look a little beat up. They have deflated a little bit over time. That's just natural. As they go through heat cycles, the rubber breaks down. It's not the highest quality components, and these GrimmSpeed ones are going to be an absolute amazing replacement. Not really a performance mod, but lastly I have the Koyorad radiator cap. It looks nice. I know it's going to perform well. I figured, hey, let's stay on brand and add this while we're in this, doing this. So that's the game plan. Let's get the front of the car lifted because we do have to go under right here, right underneath my license plate, back there where the drain plug is for the coolant system. So I got my bucket ready. I'm gonna lift the front of the car and let's get this started. All right, guys, so right here is the drain port for your coolant. So that's where we're going to start. I have my big bucket here that I'm going to line up right underneath it. You just take a Phillips head screwdriver and put it in there and turn, and then once it's flowing out, you can go up top and undo the top cap. So this is a little bit different than the STI and a lot of the videos you see online, where the coolant radiator cap is located, but this is our drain port. It is right next to your intake on the passenger side. So I'm gonna set you guys up on a camera and start draining. So the other thing you guys are going to want to do down here is this is the driver's side. This is the coolant expansion overflow tank. Right here where my finger is, you're just going to undo this clip so you can remove the fan shroud and pull it out without yanking all the wiring out. So it's this little harness right here. Just going to undo that with your hands if you can, or a screwdriver. So that is draining. While we're back up top, we are going to just start pulling off a couple connections here. First being, we need to unclip, well, it doesn't really matter what order you do this in, but before you pull the radiator out, we have a bunch of different things. I'm gonna keep the supports on until it's fully draining, but we can start removing stuff like this. This is the coolant overflow tank, and there is a small tube that connects over to that, that I can just pull out like this. So that will be good to go. All right, so next on the list is taking off this large hose here. There will be some leftover coolant, so we're just gonna use some pliers. Shouldn't be too much left in here, but this is the high point. So next we're gonna be taking off that clamp there. So this is your lower radiator hose. I'm going to move this bucket. I think there will be a decent amount that comes out here, but that's all right. If I get wet, I get wet. You know what? I'm gonna give it some more time. I'm gonna go make some breakfast. Wait for this all to drain out because I don't want any dripping onto my downpipe here, so. So I got the top of the coolant pipe here. Just a little bit came out, which is nice. I'm going to keep a rag right here for any amount that drips out. And then we're doing the same thing. Jesus Christ. Apparently there was a lot in there. and I believe these are just 10mm bolts. One. And two. All right, so there's just slots in the bottom of this, so you guys can actually just pull this entire, you know what, I think I will remove this fan actually, really quick, because it is rubbing on my intake. Then just lift this entire piece out. So I got the expansion tank off. It's just a little tab right here that you push in. And then we're gonna be taking off these radiator, the shrouds. Are going to need to transfer this tube over. So if you have a wrench, or a tube wrench, or tube pliers, line pliers, whatever they're called, you can use that. I'm going to try to get this off the old-fashioned way. Just like that. Simple. So this is going to be transferred over. I'm going to be cleaning all of this up before putting it on the new one, because this is a little gunky. So old radiator out. Look how beat up this thing is. All gross and dusty and nasty. So this is the top of the radiator. Here's the bottom. This is where the tube is going to be going for our coolant overflow tank. So I'm going to just slide that on just like so. And I might actually put a small zip tie here. And then we have our tabs for each of our fans. So this one goes here. And this is a direct fit, so let me take these bolts off really quick. And now our fan can go back in. This is the driver's side fan, which looks like it's going to mount up absolutely perfectly. So tube goes down in. Then we go under that one, and then, oops, I need to go into the bottom slot first, down here, into the top tab here, and then just clicks in. All right, I'm gonna go very gently. My camera's battery died, and with my super senses, I was able to hear the shutter turn off. So we're just gonna be taking down these mounting bolts, mounting tabs again. These are 12 millimeters. So the reason I had to take off this fan when I put this back in, guys, is because the GrimmSpeed, it's the connector for the charge pipe, essentially, for the intercooler. The silicone big tube, it kind of butts up against the bottom of the fan. So if you guys don't have a front mount intercooler, you won't have to do that, but for me, I did have to. So nice and snug, perfect. The key for worm clamps, guys, again, I've said this before, do not over tighten these. You go until you start to feel solid resistance and you just stop there. You do not want to over tighten these and tear into your brand new parts. Especially this beautiful GrimmSpeed radiator hose. So I'm gonna go underneath, use the GoPro, and install the bottom one. I just did this off camera, guys. This is the lower radiator hose from GrimmSpeed. Clamp here, clamp here. Very simple, very straightforward. Just make sure, again, you're not over tightening those worm clamps and that they are solid. So we are now ready to go ahead and start refilling our radiator. So now it's time to put this new OEM tools to use. This is going to absolutely make my job easier. I think that's the right size. Let's see. Right there. Right there. That is solid. And then all we have to do is this funnel, just like this. I think we are good to go for filling this. So a lot of people are going to recommend a lot of different things, guys. I am going to recommend you use Subaru OEM coolant. I think the majority of people agree the OEM coolant is pretty much your best bet. If you guys have a specific race car and you live in a climate where it never gets below freezing, absolutely run distilled water and water wetter. But for me, who lives in an area that water freezes nightly, all the time, I'm going to need something that's not going to freeze, which means I'm using the 50-50 blend. So now I'm adding the water wetter in between gallons. Essentially, what this does is it makes the water content have more cooling effect. This is safe to run with distilled water. It's safe to run with a 50-50 glycol mix, which you can see right here on the label. It's just going to make it more efficient, and I think it is a good idea. So I put it in between gallons so it gets mixed in there pretty easily. But now the point of this system and the point of this tool is that you can go and automatically bleed without getting making a mess here. So I'm going to go turn the car on, let it run. While I have the car on, I'm going to crank the heat as much as I can so we can heat the coolant, open up the thermostat, get all of those air bubbles out. So let's go do that. So we've let the car idle for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 now. Let as many of those bubbles come up as they could. What I'm probably gonna do is drive it for a couple days and then come back and burp it again using the same method. This is where this system comes in handy. We have this stopper at the bottom here that can go in and seal this off. And I can just lift this out without making too much of a mess, just a little bit of a mess. Tiniest little bit of coolant spilled. So now that that's sealed, we can go ahead and take this adapter plate off. We're gonna have to get some of this coolant out. so we can get that cap off. Might as well show you guys. So I'm just gonna put it, take the stopper out. And that coolant goes right back into the jug, which is beautiful. We can finally install our beautiful Koyorad cap here. So here you have it, guys. We have the Koyorad ultra efficient, awesome radiator with the cap, with the GrimmSpeed radiator hoses for the top and the bottom. This car is ready, absolutely ready for the track now. So very excited. I'm going to use that spare coolant, top off my washer, or the coolant overflow expansion tank. Just a little bit more, because it did get filled a little bit through that burping process, which is what you want. As the coolant heats up and expands, you want it to flow into here. So I'm gonna add a little bit more just so it's in right between the low and high level, and then I'll check it again after driving around. So, if you guys have a WRX, this is one thing that I absolutely recommend if you're going to be doing performance driving, an aftermarket intercooler. I chose Koyorad. Mishimoto is a good company too. From what I've heard, I think Koyorad is a little bit more reliable, but I think they're both good options. If you are running a front mount intercooler like I am, the amount of air going through your stock radiator or your radiator is definitely decreased. You have, instead of fresh air directly hitting the radiator through the grill, it's going through the intercooler, the front mount intercooler, absorbing a little bit of heat and then going through the radiator. So we want our radiator to be as efficient as possible. And that's one of the big reasons why I chose to do this. For those of you guys running aftermarket top mount intercoolers, you might not need a front radiator or an aftermarket radiator if you're doing track days, but I think it's always better to be more efficient, make sure your car has sufficient cooling. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about this process, please drop a comment down below. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so you can follow this car as it gets onto the track in the SCCA time trial circuit. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to make a full instruction list for how to do this process. There aren't any that I found online already, so if you guys want access to that, please hit the link in our description for our Patreon. You will have access to the instruction manual for this installation and many, many other maintenance items and other topics for this car. So thank you guys once again. I'm so excited to see this car on the track. We'll see you soon. Peace.